Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
Pain don't hurt.
Is my boomstick!
Game over, man. Game over.
Welcome to the Bargain Bin. He is your host, Ben Mason.
And he is your co-host, Sandro Luketic. And today we're talking 1999's The Ninth Gate. We assume if you're listening to this episode, you've already seen the movie. So, Sandro?
Yes, sir.
I feel very confident in saying that you've never seen this movie before.
That is 100% correct, sir.
After having seen it, do you wish that was still the case?
Absolutely. But before we get into it, can I say something?
Sure.
So for those who don't know, we've changed our system where our guest host picks the movie that we review the following week, and this one was picked by Josh, who joined us last week from Pixel Opinions. And I would just like to say, Josh, I hate you so very much.
Yeah, and thanks for keeping it under 2 hours, Josh.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a difficult direction to follow. Under 2 hours. He picks a movie that's 133 minutes.
I mean, it could have been worse.
Could it? Could it really?
The extended Hobbit?
The Zack Snyder cut of Justice League?
I want to see it.
Yeah, but do you know how long it is?
Nope.
4 hours.
Never mind. I probably won't even watch it then.
Since this is getting a little sidetracked, I will just say it's cut into multiple chapters with a very blatant spot where you should take an interlude after the fifth chapter, which is about 2 hours and 20 minutes in, because I guess the original idea was to release it as two movies, kind of like Endgame.
That makes sense.
But since this was released on HBO Max, it was just put out as 4 hours with like multiple chapters, which like you could do it as almost like a mini series. Just watch each chapter 30, 45 minutes at once and then see the whole thing.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, that movie is probably more enjoyable than what we are procrastinating speaking about.
Yeah, I have seen this movie a few times before.
How? A few times? Oh my god, that's at least 6 hours of your life that you'll never get back.
I know, I had it on VHS, and honestly, then I didn't mind it that much. But that's because I would throw it on whenever I wanted to, and probably be doing something else while it was on. I never actually had to sit down and pay attention to it.
Well, let's just... Like a Band-Aid, man. Let's just get this thing over with. Just jump into the plot.
Well, I do want to say one thing first, and that is that Hollywood's least favorite director, Roman Polanski, did this film.
Okay.
And he was one of 3 screenwriters for it, based off of a novel written by Arturo Pérez-Reverte called The Club Dumas, which sounds like a much, much better story than what was adapted for this film.
You gotta know I don't know who that is, because I never do.
That's fine.
Why is this Roman Polanski? Is he hated because of this movie?
No, he's hated because he drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl.
Oh, shit.
After his wife was murdered by the Manson family.
I don't...
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
No.
Yeah, so he fled the States, but is still a working director.
Took gravity out of the joke I made about the quality of the movie when you do that.
No, there's no quality to this movie.
No.
But yeah, let's hop right into this.
Alrighty.
Originally, we were just gonna use the Wikipedia plot synopsis breakdown because I found it way too frustrating going through this scene by scene. But they missed so many things, I decided I'll suck it up, watch it again, and bit by bit go through and just make some notes.
This is a man who is dedicated to his craft, everybody.
Okay. So we start off with a rich old man alone at his desk writing a letter. Puts the letter into an envelope, walks over to a stool, puts his head through a noose, and hangs himself. The camera pans throughout the study and rests on an empty space on a bookshelf. This then leads us to the longest, most boring credit sequence ever. I'm sure this is a slog for you too, man.
It was. The credits were a slog, but it wasn't a bad way to start the movie. Like, seeing the old man writing the letter, hang himself, you're like, okay, I'm in for intrigue, I'm in for mystery. Like, it's a good enigmatic way to start a movie that makes you want to know what happens next.
Exactly. And then they make you wait 15 minutes for the credit sequence before you get back to the story. Like, and I get it. It's cool watching the credits as you are, like, first person POV going through each gate. And I'm so thankful it's only 9 gates and not like 16. But after
the 666 gates.
I wouldn't put it past him, man. So when the movie restarts, we're introduced to our lead, Dean Corso, played by Johnny Depp, who's evaluating a book collection of an old man who has suffered a stroke. The man's family is there to hear the pricing, obviously money hungry, and Corso gives them an estimate before undervaluing a 4-volume Don Quixote set and buys it for himself.
Yeah, like, what a sleazy way to introduce your character. Like,
yeah.
You don't even need to have the knowledge that you get when he sees, like, the rival or other appraiser when he's getting on the elevator to know that, like, this guy just cheated them out of this book by clearly overselling everything else.
Yeah.
And then underselling this so that they're, caught up in the other pricing and buys them. Like, well, this guy's a jerk.
And that's just it. After the insult that was the credit sequence, they're like, here's your protagonist. Isn't he a dick? Enjoy the next 2 hours, motherfuckers.
Language. Ooh.
Sorry. Am I wrong, though?
No. It's exactly what I thought, too.
Corso goes to Bernie's used books to offload the volumes of Don Quixote, and then goes to Balkan Press.
I think Bernie might have been my most likable character in this movie.
Yeah, he was great. Like, unfortunately, we only get a bit of like character development for him later on, and here it's more of just an introduction.
Yeah, but I mean, like, not necessarily the actor, but like the character is maybe one of the most likable. Like, he jokes around about him, like with Dean, and he has a bit of personality, it seems.
Haggles even pricing of books,
even though he knows, like, he's messing with him, right? But yeah. Don't get too attached.
At Balkan Press, he enters a lecture about demons in medieval literature that's given by Balkan himself. And sitting at the back of the room, Corso eyes a woman wearing colorful socks. And I hate how colorful socks becomes a thing throughout the movie. But anyway, Corso is awoken at the end of the lecture by Balkan and is taken to his private library in his penthouse, the world's largest collection of books where the devil is the protagonist. And I never noticed this until this viewing of the film, but the painting behind Balkan is the castle that is used towards the end of the film.
Ooh, foreshadowing. What a clever movie. It must be 10 on 10.
Oh, God. Okay.
And I'm not far into the movie at this point. And I already don't like Frank Langella in this. And I'm like, how did you ruin this guy this quickly into the movie?
I disagree. I loved Langella in this role. I thought the character was a piece of shit, and he played it perfectly. He is very, very well respected and a fantastic actor. I think now he's at the point in his career where he can just pick the roles where he wants to have fun with.
I think the problem with it was that he was clean shaven.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be that, like, uppity, rich, I don't know what the word is. So, not socialite, but pretentious collector, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't see anything scraggly about that kind of character.
You can have a nicely groomed beard, my friend.
Can you?
Of course you can.
Teach me your ways.
No. Move on.
All right. Balkan owns a copy of The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows by Aristide Torquia. There are only 2 other copies in the world. Only one is original, and Balkan hires Corso to authenticate the copy he owns in comparison to the others, and all expenses of this investigation are included.
Okay, where does he get the information that only one is authentic?
I don't know.
Because that's never explained. And like the entire time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, these books have been around for thousands of years. Why has nobody else ever tried to put them together or compare them or do anything that is taking place right now? And where did Balkan get the information that only one is genuine? Like, we don't know. It's just plot device.
Honestly, it seems like everybody thinks that there's only one genuine copy, and it's the copy that that person owns.
Because, that's how it works.
Reasons.
Yeah.
Corso goes to interview Lena Telfer, whose husband killed himself at the beginning of the film, where we learn that Balkan bought his copy of the book from her husband, which confuses her due to the book's importance. She reveals they bought it for a large price while in Spain, and while leaving the Telfer estate, Corso notices a man with bleach blonde hair sitting in the yard smoking. And he will pop up randomly throughout the film.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of this.
No.
It's like watching two people you have complete disregard for trying to have a conversation that's supposed to be important to you.
I gotta tell you, man, like, I like Johnny Depp in general.
You don't?
No, I do. I like
okay.
Johnny Depp in general. And for somebody who's never seen any movies, I've seen a good number of his. I have never liked him less than in this movie.
You haven't seen Don Juan DeMarco.
I have.
Oh God. Oh, that's right, you have.
But
well, that says a lot then.
I don't know, like this, like Corso just seems so, like, okay, he's somewhat charismatic.
Yeah.
But he seems so artificially intelligent. Excuse the phrase.
No, I agree with that because I feel like this is a film noir character thrust into an occult mystery filmed present day. The character doesn't belong in the story.
No.
Like if this whole thing took place in the 40s, his character would make perfect sense.
Being completely honest, the movie hadn't lost me yet at this point.
Well, you're still trying to figure out what you're watching, I guess.
Yes, and I was still somewhat intrigued by, like, maybe there is only one copy. I'm not questioning where that information came from, and I'm still kind of curious about the direction. We're not that far in, and honestly, like, the way they set it up, there is a bit of intrigue on what is going to happen. The problem is, I don't think that there's a payoff at any point, and eventually it just, like, you just tire of waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie is a constant build-up to what is supposed to be the payoff, which in itself is a question.
Yeah. Anyway, moving forward.
While in a library studying the engravings in the book, Corso sees a woman from the lectures, the woman from the previous lecture at Balkan Press, staring at him. But she vanishes when he tries to round the bookshelves to see her. And later, he sees her yet again, this time watching him from the balcony of the library. Keeps popping up. You assume she has a massive part in this mystery to play. This is the second time we've seen her now.
Yep.
Corso returns to his apartment.
Technically, it's the third.
Is it?
Wait.
No, not yet.
No, the second visit to the bookstore we see her again. Never mind.
Yes.
My bad.
Yeah. Corso returns to his apartment, finding the door open. He enters and sees the place has been torn apart, books all over the floor. This is where it started getting me more interested. Because obviously the book plays a major part, but like, why is it important enough that people have already figured out that Depp has it and that, it's worth breaking into his place, knowing that if he was there, they'd probably end up having to kill him to get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's where the intrigue is coming from. You're like, okay, clearly somebody's following this book or they're following him. And again, at this point in the movie, and as it should be at this point in any movie, they're still building the intrigue, right?
Yes.
And yes, you're like, okay, this could be good. Now we're starting to see some danger involved.
Yes. Back at Bernie's, Corso shows Bernie the book, much to his amazement, and then asks Bernie to stash the book for him until he leaves for the airport, stating that things are getting weird. He's seeing unfamiliar faces. There's the apartment looting, etc. And this is where what you were talking about, because as Corso leaves, the camera pans to a window where we see the feet of somebody outside wearing colorful socks.
Yeah, and I thought there was somebody first, because I think like the colorful socks after like put out a cigarette butt.
That's the scene right here.
Yeah. But I feel like almost, I could be wrong on this, but I thought like the guy with the platinum blonde hair that we always see everywhere smoking might have been there first, and it was his cigarette that she was putting out because she was following him and he was following them.
Oh God, I didn't pay that close attention. That could be. It would work story-wise.
It could be entirely wrong, but I just feel like, yeah, I don't know why I got that feeling. It could be completely off base.
I'm actually going to go back and check on that, because that would make this feel a little bit more cohesive. We're back at Corso's apartment. While packing for the trip, the doorbell rings. Lena Telfer wants to buy the book back. He refuses, stating it's not his to sell. She instead seduces him, and after sex, she demands the book again, and when he denies it, she attacks him, bites him, and knocks him out with a bottle.
This was awful.
It was terrible.
Okay, so the seduction had no charisma.
No.
At all. And you know what? Fine. Single guy, lonely, maybe it takes nothing more than flashing some underwear.
Yeah.
The issue is when they get aggressive. Like when she bites him, he screams. It's so... It just sounds so fake.
Yep.
And of course,
I don't know what to tell you, man.
They focus on the tattoo she has on her upper thigh.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe even ass cheek placement, whatever. And like that never gets revealed until the end, when they just flat out show her in the cult.
Yeah.
I was like, you didn't need to show that. It would be one thing if you saw that silver, was it silver hand or something silver? I don't know, like if you see that again popping up in multiple places, like hinting at the cult, but we just see it the one time and then we don't see it again, and it's just like, oh, she's in the cult. All right, cool. I think we see it when she's naked going to put her robe on in the cult room, and it's like,
this movie should have been called Just Roll With It.
but like the camera focuses on it. You're like, okay, is this gonna pop up? Like, is this symbol gonna be in the engravings in the book? You know, showing more of a connection, giving the viewer something to like, oh, I'm piecing together clues behind the scenes that the main character doesn't have. No, it just happens.
Yeah. Don't ask for more, man. Don't ask for more. Just wait until they find like sections spliced out of the movie and they try and reinsert it for a remaster, re-release, and then we get the Polanski supercut of Ninth Gate.
If it ever happens, I am watching it.
Nope. Upon regaining consciousness, Corso calls Bernie but gets no answer. So he goes to Bernie's rare books and finds that Bernie is dead, hanging from the ceiling by 1 foot. An image that does come up throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He retrieves the book from Bernie's hiding spot and returns to the cab, eventually stopping to call Balkan from a phone booth and claiming he wants out of the deal. Balkan denies the resignation and volunteers to pay him more. And then Corso hears airport chatter in the background, demands to know where Balkan is, but is hung up on. I really like the deadpan delivery that Frank Langella uses on the phone, because you never see that in person. It's only him communicating through the phone where there is zero emotion.
Yeah, and I'm fine with Frank Langella in the movie. I just don't like the character of Balkan. I want to get your take on something.
Yeah.
Who do you suppose killed Bernie?
That's a question I have written down. I have who killed Bernie, ? The girl, ? Why, ?
Like, my best guess is it was somebody from the cult, maybe even Platinum Blonde guy, because if Liana was, like, working on Corso, maybe he was working on Bernie, right? The girl wouldn't make sense to me. I guess it could have just been faceless cult people, but obviously it would have to be somebody like... Oh.
And I don't understand, too, because if the people that killed Bernie were the same people that ransacked Corso's apartment, and they followed Corso to Bernie's to know that Bernie has some connection, why not just jump Corso when he's on his way to Bernie's again?
Well, see, that
why
would
not
make...
just wait for him to leave the apartment when they couldn't find it in the apartment?
That would make some sense if it was the Platinum Blonde guy's cigarette that Colorful Socks was putting out. Because at least then we'd know he knows there's a connection there. He followed Corso earlier, and he knows that Bernie is a connection.
Yeah. I at this is where I'm starting to feel that either the editing to this movie is lacking, or I'm just really dumb.
Well, I mean, it could be both.
Oh, thank you. That's great. But seriously, like, the confusion should not arise this early in the movie. Like, there's not even that much of a mystery on the go yet. It's just starting.
I mean, early, relatively speaking, because it feels like the movie's been going on for a while at this point already.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. Like, making these notes, going through this movie again, man, I just kept looking at the runtime and just shaking my head.
All right.
Let's see. I completely lost my place in my notes.
There we
go.
Here's the airports and
yeah.
Yeah.
On the plane, Corso is looking at one of the engravings in the book and realizes that it depicts a man hanging in the same fashion in which he found Bernie. Now in Spain, Corso goes to the Ceniza brothers' book restoration to get their opinion on the book. I actually really love this scene.
These two were entertaining. They made me chuckle.
Yeah, it's also great effects because it was only one actor.
Oh, okay. I mean, for the time, that's actually not bad.
Yeah, and there's one scene or one shot in particular. I don't know how they did it, but when Corso hands the book to one of the brothers, like immediately, well, the brother's smoking, he drops ashes on the book and like wipes them off.
Yeah, like he doesn't care. There's some big book guy.
But the other brother comes up and takes the book out of his hand. But it was like superimposing one actor's work on top of the other, so I'm not sure how they did the book transition.
I don't know.
And then I was like, maybe this movie is actually good, not only from a technical perspective.
No.
There's don't worry, it reminded me of that shortly after.
There are plenty of effects in this movie that will negate that.
Oh yeah. They admit that the book was theirs and they sold it not to Andrew Telfer but Lena Telfer. They've been talking about methods to forge a book from that era and how it would be very expensive, but it is entirely possible. And then discuss the engravings and how it isn't uncommon for engravings at the time to contain puzzles, all initialed by the artist. Looking through the book, some are initialed LCF as Lucifer. The story of the book, and I probably should have said this earlier, is that Torquia co-authored the book with the devil and was burned at the stake because of it. Yeah, some interesting lore to it. And then leaving the Cenizas, Corso's almost killed by collapsing scaffolding. And that's, to me, something straight out of The Omen. I thought it was completely unoriginal.
I don't remember if it's during or after when he's looking at the engraving with the LCF. Mm-hmm. And it focuses on, I don't know if it's supposed to be an angel with a bow and arrow.
That's coming up. I have a note on that, too.
All right, cool.
That's actually in the next scene. It's nighttime. And Corso's on the train heading to Portugal.
Okay.
And I believe that's where he's looking at the book.
Okay.
And yeah, it looks like an angel in the clouds with a bow and arrow pointing down towards the ground.
Looks like the bookkeepers to me.
That's what I noted. But at the same time, it also looked like Vargas, who we haven't seen yet in the movie.
Maybe,
the old man playing violin. But I have a reason to believe you are right, and it is the Ceniza brothers, which I will get to at the end of the movie.
Okay. But I mean, that's what I thought. When I saw it, I'm watching it, and I actually kind of rolled my eyes on it, too. Because in my mind, I'm like, I think it was the same engraving that they looked at together in the bookshop, and he's looking at it again later.
I didn't think so, but if that's true, that would be brilliant.
But in my mind, I'm like, how does he not notice a resemblance?
I don't know. I never noticed it before, and I've seen this movie like 5 times now.
I mean, I'd say go back and look at it, but don't.
No. After looking at the engraving, he's going to his sleeper car where he encounters the woman from the lecture again, followed by a strange amount of ambiguous questioning.
Oh
and then
my
the two
god!
part ways.
Can Corso?
It's just uncomfortable.
And is Corso a moron?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
he's
is.
like, oh, I feel like I've seen you before. Yeah, you have. You're not questioning why she's now in Spain?
Yeah, and even if he was trying to be suave, it wasn't smooth whatsoever.
And then, like, he calls her green eyes.
Yeah.
And it's at this point in the movie where I'm like, that wasn't the color of her eyes earlier.
No. But this, like, the reason why I thought that engraving could have been Vargas is because right after that scene, Corso arrives at the Vargas estate to compare his copy of the book.
Fair.
There he notices that some of the engravings differ between the books. Like, Balkans has 6 engravings by Torquia and 3 by LCF. And Vargas, his copy, also has 6 by Torquia and 3 by LCF, but they're different engravings.
Yeah.
Yeah. While leaving the estate, Corso is nearly missed in a hit-and-run attempt. The car begins a second attempt, revealing that the driver is actually the man from Telfer's Yard, the bleach blonde man, but is chased off by somebody on a motorcycle. And I wish, if they wanted this to remain a bit of a surprise, they tucked her hair into the helmet.
I wish that she tried to save him sooner, because there's this just awkward moment where the guy with the blonde hair just gets out of the car and they just look at each other and neither of them does anything. It's like, okay, do something. Go.
Yeah.
And then the motorcycle, goes by and it's like, what the hell was he waiting for?
And also, how does he know this woman and know to be, like, off-put by her? Because she doesn't interact with anybody else in the movie except for Corso.
And if you're trying to kill Corso, just bring a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very easy to kill.
Yeah, he's not hiding.
I mean, he gets knocked out twice. I think by a bottle each time. Anyway.
I don't think they show what he gets knocked out with.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
At the Baroness's place.
Yeah.
We go to the lobby of his hotel where Corso yet again encounters the girl. Their conversation is interrupted by a phone call for Corso. It's Balkan again. He's on the line demanding to hear any progress. Corso tells him there are differences in the engravings, that those that differ are the different artists. Balkan demands that Corso obtains that copy as well. Sure. I don't know at what point, like, I know he does later on in the movie, but at this point, if I were Corso, I'd just be like, no, I'm good. Like, people are willing to hit me with a car because I looked at a book.
I was surprised.
I'm not going to go try and get it.
I was surprised that after being ransacked in his apartment and Bernie being found dead, he still agreed to do more just at the promise of more money.
Well, at that point, let's just assume it's daily life in New York City.
It's a little generous. I'd still be like, these aren't coincidences. This is clearly related to the book.
Yeah. Also, I do have to say they did a very good job at making Paris look like New York.
Well, was that in Paris?
Yeah, man. Polanski's not going back to the States. He'll be arrested as soon as he touches down.
Well, I didn't know any of this when it happened. I don't know the timeline for any of it.
Oh, yeah.
I did think that it looked quite a bit like New York. I wouldn't have known that was filmed in Paris.
Yeah, I watched this movie with someone else, and we were trying to figure out exactly where it was, because it looked a lot like New York, but at the same time something felt off, and I had to look it up a bit. But yeah, filmed in France.
Hey, there's something you can say positive about the movie. They were successful in making it look like New York.
Or at least enough to slightly confuse the viewer.
Well, I mean, for a rudimentary viewer like me, a simpleton, They clearly fooled me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's one hit for the film. Let's go for that home run here, guys.
No, that scale is tipping in the opposite direction very severely.
Knocking at the door awakes Corso in his hotel bed. It's the girl again, and she tells him he has to return to the Vargas estate. We get confirmation that the girl was the one on the motorcycle, and the two head to Vargas. When they arrive, she tells Corso that Vargas is dead and points to his corpse in the front fountain. They break inside and find that the book is laying in the fireplace, half burned. Corso grabs the book, and the two are off to Paris. Some of this is pretty concise for the amount that happens in each scene. Like, we get long, drawn-out scenes where nothing happens, and then they'll cram a bunch of story into 2 minutes.
Pacing could have been improved substantially. But
this is a major problem for this film.
In this entire scene, I'm like, okay, so she brings him to the estate, she points where the corpse is, she climbs into the house and opens the door, like, who is this person? I want to know, but at the same time, I don't care.
Yeah. It
And,
almost seems like you know that there's going to be a reveal, and you just don't care about the reveal.
But, like, the reason that I'm overly dumbfounded is because Corso's not affected by it nearly enough.
Not at all.
He doesn't question it nearly enough.
It's just a bad script, man.
Yeah, well, keep going. I mean, this is Josh's fault.
On the plane, Corso makes a joke that she must be his guardian angel, and she responds, "If you say so." Hint, hint. Corso states he feels like somebody's playing a game with him, and the girl says, "Of course, and you're part of it." Like, okay. I guess this is another
how mysterious. Ooh.
bigger picture scenario.
At this point, if they're still trying to build intrigue, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it happened, but at this point, I'm already wanting the movie to end.
Yeah. I was looking at the time when I was making my notes, and I'm pretty sure this was about the halfway point. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Enough.
Oh, man.
I was going to actually try and leave out chunks of this movie to see if you would notice.
If the fans of the Ninth Gate, you know, like if any of the 6 of them listen to our podcast, they're not going to be happy.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care.
Hey, at least they'll be happy that I was generous and rounded up and said 6 fans.
Yeah. Somebody's there sitting there like, there are more? We must find the other 3.
We could make a better movie out of that.
Yeah, the 6 fans of the Ninth Gate.
Yeah, we'll find them.
Where have I been here?
They landed. They were in the plane, and then they.
Oh yeah, they land. Get off the plane in the airport. The girl just vanishes.
Yeah,
sure. Corso doesn't even look for her.
No.
Turns around, looks down, and sees a girl. And I was like, did you just transform into this little girl? So I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, no, that's just Polanski's daughter.
Well, yeah, and Green Eyes is his wife.
Yeah. Oh, wait, are you joking?
I thought I read that somewhere.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay, we're gonna have to look into that in a second.
Yeah, you keep going.
Yeah. Corso then examines the burned book that he grabbed from Vargas and finds that all of the engravings had been torn out before the book was torched. I thought that was interesting.
I mean, it's clever.
Yeah. Corso arrives for his appointment. Jesus. Corso arrives for his appointment with Baroness.
Hold on, buddy. Hold on.
Oh, did you find it?
Emmanuel Sagner. I apologize for the pronunciation. Spouse, Roman Polanski, married 1989.
Yeah,
they had already been married 10 years at the point of this movie.
Okay. Well, that explains why she got cast, because she's definitely not a good actor.
Makes the final scene, or one of the final scenes, really awkward, if you ask me.
That was awkward to begin with.
Yup.
We will get there. I have that in my notes too.
Unfortunately, we will get there. Unless this is the first episode ever where we just wave the white flag.
We just quit. Corso arrives for his appointment with Baroness Kessler and roll credits. No, he's there to examine her copy of the book, the third copy.
I will say this. The Baroness is probably my second favorite character in this movie, just because she's such a tough, like, I don't know, there's something about those resilient, like, you know what I mean?
The Baroness is badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great. Also, like, sticking to her guns in every scenario.
Yep.
Calling people out, but based off of experience. She informs him of the delusional people who hold ceremonies for readings of the book, followed by nights of sexual depravity. Leona Telfer helms those gatherings, using her husband's money to restore the family chateau and to actually buy the copy of the book that Balkan ended up obtaining.
Yeah.
But her demeanor quickly changes when she deduces that Corso is working for Balkan and kicks him out promptly.
Yep.
And I thought that was actually very well done because it built a lot more on Balkan's character without him even being on screen. So
Correct.
I will say, when it comes to writing, that was well done.
Yeah, it was well done for writing, but it didn't make for an entertaining scene, in my opinion.
No, it did not. Which is sad because it's probably one of the better scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Leaving the Baroness, Corso sees the blonde man again and hides in a bar waiting for him to leave. And that sums up Corso perfectly to me. He is such a coward that as soon as he sees a threat, he just runs and hides.
Okay,
and he will wait and wait.
To be
and wait.
fair, it's not like he just saw somebody that looked intimidating. This is a guy who tried to run him over, who he clearly saw in quote-unquote New York. Like, he's clearly a threat rather than just an intimidating presence. However, you say he hid in a cafe. He didn't hide. He just sat there.
He just sat there and drank.
Yep.
And drank.
Yep.
Now, this is the problem for me with the scene. This man is not physically intimidating.
Oh, no.
The blonde man.
No.
But if you were intimidated, would you wait until nightfall when there's fewer people out in the open and then leave when you don't know where he went?
I feel like he had to leave because the place was closing.
Was that the case? I just thought that
I don't
like
know.
the inside lights came on because, it's getting later in the night. I would expect them to be open later, but then he looked out and saw that the guy was gone, so then he left. I'm like, do you think he might have just
hid?
Or just moved somewhere else?
You think this guy's going to stand outside all day or however long he's there, and then when it gets close to nighttime or them closing shop, is just going to be like, I think now's a good time to take off.
Seriously. Like, you saw him in New York. You saw him because he tried to kill you in Portugal. Now you're in France, and he's sitting on a stone wall while you drink, and you think making him wait for like 5 hours is just going to make him quit?
Yep.
Apparently. You're Dean Corso.
So stupid movie.
Where was I? Oh, yeah, there we go.
He goes outside.
Yeah, when he... am I bringing you down here?
Oh, no, it's not you, sir.
When he feels it's safe, he exits the bar, missing another hit and run almost, and runs down a flight of stairs to the river. The blonde man confronts him and Corso runs but is tripped and attacked. Then we see the girl again, but this time she floats down the stairs and then just observes the fight for a while.
This scene was terrible. Her floating looked horrible.
It was awful.
The fight scene that took place here, while at this point I was hoping for some action in this movie to break up the pacing, was so bad that I was like, no, just keep it.
Yeah. awful. It was
And
terrible.
like she gives him a kick at one point where in my eyes it looked more like she just put her foot out and he ran into it. And I'm like, well, this is so... Did they not have a fight choreographer? Did they just do one take? This is horrible. Horrible,
we need to make
horrible.
it look natural.
Oh my god, so bad. And then
Well,
this being that can float and kick the platinum blonde hair guy's ass gets hit in the mouth by Dean like an idiot who just stood too close. Oh my god.
Yep, bloodies her nose.
The only thing that I can think of, and I'm hoping and giving it too much credit, is that she did it intentionally so that he would be more sympathetic towards her.
And that could be, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
God damn, this movie's terrible. Oh my god. Alright. Corso gets... yeah, go ahead, man.
We're at least 2/3 of the way, right?
Yeah, sure.
No.
Corso gets the hotel manager to put the feelers out to see where Lena Telfer is staying in the city. Upstairs, the girl entrances Corso with glowing green eyes, wiping her bloody nose and streaking the blood down Corso's face. Okay. I'm still confused as to what this is or why it happened. Any insight is welcome.
And no comment.
Perfect. He calls her out as to where she fits into what's happening. And then we get another call from Balkan, who has zero reaction to Corso's news that people have been trying to kill him and that Vargas is dead. And Balkan demands that Corso return to the Baroness and analyze that book. So Corso photocopies the engravings from Balkan's book and hides it behind the fridge in his hotel room, which I would say is probably one of the smartest things he's done.
Yeah, I thought that was a good hiding spot.
Yeah. Honestly, I probably would have put it under the fridge.
But see, the thing is, if you put it under the fridge, it's a thicker book. It will make the fridge look like it's elevated. Whereas if you just open the cupboard to look at the fridge, if it's a little bit further away from the back, that won't be as noticeable.
Yeah. Or, you could just go open up a bank account and get a safety deposit box.
Yeah.
But,
no, the hotel room's got to be safe.
Right. Oh, yeah, of course. They'll let in anyone's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Corso goes to see Baroness Kessler, who allows him into the building when he says he has important info for her. I really enjoyed this scene, too, where he tells her that he believes all 3 copies of the book are genuine, and he shows her that there are 3 variations of the engravings in the 3 books, which makes 9 for the 9 gates.
It might have been one of the more clever things he did, because he clearly appealed to her interest in order to let him keep looking at it, right?
Yeah, well, she was impressed enough that she allows him full access to the library.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, like I said, that's why it was clever, because he realized that he's not going to be able to hide or be secretive with her.
Yeah.
But she's clearly a fan, and she's clearly interested, so if he, shares this information with her, she'll give, it's a give and take now, rather than just, can I look at your book?
Yeah. But at the same time, the problem I had with that was him showing her, the engraving where, the difference between the 2 would be one castle has 4 turrets and one has 3. That is something that you would see in one of those kids' highlights magazines from the 90s.
What's the difference between these two?
Exactly. It's not that hard. And she seems to be the most well-read on this topic, even having written a book all about it. And there's another engraving where it's the chessboard, and in one all the squares are white, and in the other they're all black. That's pretty noticeable.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like things were way too obvious for them to be such a surprise to her.
Well, that's why it makes me think, how did nobody put these together prior to now?
Yeah.
Literally take the 3 books. How did none of the books find their way to the same physical space.
And especially since this woman wrote a book about the books that she would have at some point compared two of them. If only two, you would still find those differences. Because it's not even like you have to read through the text to find them. There's 9 images in the books.
I mean, let's just be generous and say that, maybe you did have the books together and you're not opening them to the same page at the same time and comparing the engravings. It's I'm going to choose to suspend disbelief on this.
All right. You of all people. All right, I'm just going to go with you on that one. Studying the engravings, Corso's attacked from behind and knocked out. When he wakes up, he finds the Baroness has been murdered and has the most comedic death face of all time.
Oh, I'm glad you said it, because I was thinking it too.
I laughed out loud.
After that shit floating and terrible fight scene, they give us this visual effect, and it looked horrible.
Oh, it's so bad.
And she's just driving into the wall over and over again.
Yeah. Anyway, she ends up busting through the doors. And
can we stop for 1 second here, though?
Yeah.
So Corso strategically goes in when the secretary that he is seemingly afraid of goes on lunch or an errand?
Lunch break.
Lunch break. Corso studies the book, gets knocked out, the Baroness gets killed, and a fire gets started, all in the span of that lunch break, because as Corso's fleeing, which I'm jumping ahead just a little bit, we see her coming back.
Yeah.
It was a pretty quick hour. And he clearly wasn't knocked out for very long.
I'd say lunch break could even be half hour.
Let's be generous and say it's an hour. If he got knocked out, he wasn't out for long.
No, not at all.
And interesting that the timing of him coming to didn't allow enough for the book to get fully burnt.
No.
I guess we should say what he finds, because I keep referencing it.
What he finds?
Yeah, like after the Baroness is dead, he opens the door and you...
Oh yeah, the office is set ablaze.
The office is set ablaze, and the book is
half burned on her desk.
Yes.
Yeah. He returns to his hotel and finds that his copy of the book that he stashed has been stolen. The clerk at the front desk apparently let Corso's, quote, wife into his room while he was gone. Corso being unmarried. That was great. Also, can people just go in and claim to be somebody in Paris hotels, and you can just go wherever you want?
I mean, my knowledge of Paris hotels will surprise you as non-existent, so maybe?
Yeah, thieves' paradise.
I mean, let's be honest. There is the scene later where, Corso is talking to the hotel manager, and, even the manager kind of alludes to that employee being disciplined. Because I feel like, no, he shouldn't have been doing that.
And I think that's just an attempt at covering up convenience to get the book stolen. In the writing. I mean, how would somebody get it out of the room? Well, let's just say somebody accidentally let somebody into his room. All right, perfect. But they wouldn't do that. Okay, well, we'll have their senior punish them for doing so.
Here's
Brilliant!
Here's an idea. Don't write such a clever hiding spot.
Yeah.
It's not like you were breaking your back to think of clever things at any other point in the movie.
Yeah. And Corso hasn't exactly been a genius throughout the film, so he could have easily taken it with him when he went to the Baroness's place again. And then when he gets knocked out there, they take Balkan's copy of the book and still burn the Baroness's version. Bam. Don't have to worry about any of that writing.
But Ben, then you might have been able to cut out 10 minutes of movie, and you can't have that.
If we cut out 10 minutes of the movie, it would still be over 2 hours long.
I know, but it would be closer, and you can't have that.
This isn't even an hour and a half worth of story. And they... Oh God. Okay, sorry.
Come on, man, keep going. We're getting through this.
All right.
We're getting through
All
this.
right. Balkan calls and threatens Corso when he finds out that his book is gone. And then the girl reappears, and the manager gives him the info on Telfer's whereabouts. At this point, if you're Corso, and you're like, every time something inconvenient happens, this girl just shows up. Would you not call the police? He has not once called the police. People have tried to kill him. I understand him not wanting to call the police, being like, hey, I just found a dead rich guy in his fountain. Also, I broke into his house and stole a book that somebody threw in the fireplace. But, like, even saying, hey, at the very beginning, hey, I came to my friend Bernie's store to get a book that he was holding for me, and he's dead. Don't have to say anything about your apartment being ransacked.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to say he came for a book that he was storing for him. Yeah. I went to the bookstore.
There's a dead guy here.
Yeah.
And he's hanging upside down by 1 foot. Is that not strange? Even for New York?
Yep.
I don't know.
You don't even need to give the information that he was storing the book. I just went I went to a bookstore. You know, a place where the public can walk in. And there was a dead guy.
Now, there is a question, too.
Okay.
Because that bookstore was old. Probably did not have security cameras. Also, I'm really questioning the idea of having a bookstore where one of the main floors is subterranean and you're in New York. I'd be really worried about sewer backup. But if they did report the murder, I guess I could see there being a problem with him trying to go to Spain or Portugal or France until that murder was solved.
I mean, at this point, he didn't want to continue working for Balkan. So being detained by the police wouldn't have been a problem.
Actually, yeah, that's his get out of jail free card. By actually going to jail, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
into jail free.
You're giving the movie too much credit again.
I just want it to make sense, man.
Okay, sure. I'm sure there's some sense at the end of this rainbow. Keep going.
They arrive at Telfer's hotel and steal a car to tail them, eventually losing sight of them. Luckily, they see a road sign pointing to the town of Saint Martin, which is Liana Telfer's maiden name, and continue in that direction.
Yeah.
In doing so, they pass a massive chateau, which I loved. It looked amazing, prepared for some big event with like hundreds of candles illuminating the driveway.
It's a good thing that people lived in towns that are named after their family name. That's very convenient.
Not entirely uncommon, though.
Not entirely uncommon, but very convenient.
Oh, extremely for this movie. Anyway, they ditched the car.
A very nice car.
Yeah, it was a Dodge Viper RT10, I think. It was beautiful.
And you didn't mention her disguising herself when they were driving. So
I just didn't want to touch on that.
Oh, that was so bad. But it's
terrible.
It's lucky for them that I don't know, scarf that she made look like a headdress just happened to be in the glove compartment. Because, you know, when I open my glove compartment, there's always scarves.
Or, you know, if you're around Arnold, handguns.
Sure. A handgun would have been better.
It would have. And I find from this point on, the movie goes from like, we're going to try and build up a really intense, like, thrilling mystery to, we don't know what the payoff was supposed to be, so we're just going to visually vomit all over the screen for the remaining runtime.
It's like they gave up.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's like, wait, this is what the movie's supposed to be about? Oh, God. No, we don't have time for reshoots. Just go. Anyway, they break into the chateau and confront Telfer, who's getting dressed for the satanic ceremony.
Well, first we have to get a butt shot.
There was a butt shot, yes.
And that's when we see the tattoo again. And it hasn't come up.
Yep. Definite, strong plot device.
I had to bring that up because, you know, I made a point of it earlier in the movie. Because the movie made a point. The movie made a point of it because the camera focused in on it.
There's definitely some weird editing going on here. It feels like there are massive chunks of the story that just don't exist in the film.
Little did we know this movie was actually a 6-hour movie, and they just cut out a whole bunch.
Could you imagine?
No, I don't want to imagine the 2-hour and 13-minute version.
All right. Corso reclaims Balkan's book, but is distracted by the blonde man, and Telfer pulls a gun. The blonde man is to take Corso and the girl elsewhere and kill them, but Corso breaks out a wicked judo throw down a flight of stone stairs and beats him unconscious, which, sure. All right, I guess now you grow a backbone.
Okay, first of all, like, Bond villain-esque here. Go take them down. Just kill them
Make
there.
too much of a mess.
They're cultists, okay? They are clearly doing a lot of messy shit in this place as it is, whether it's blood or other bodily fluids. If this guy is such a problem and you're gonna kill him anyway, just do it right there.
I love the throw so much.
And then
Because I think he just utters like, "Move!" to the girl in front of him, and she immediately juts to the left, and he just grabs the gun arm and just whips him down the stairs.
And you know what the best part about that is?
What's that?
You're commenting about how this guy was not physically imposing.
Yeah.
And Corso was able to just flip him. So, like, this is the guy you were afraid of.
You attack him when he's got a gun that he could shoot you with. That's the only time you really, really step up. I mean, like, yeah, when he was attacked by the river, but even then he didn't really put up a fight. But, like, the guy's unconscious, and Corso's still just whipping him in the face over and over again.
And this is where the girl tries to be, or, like, the writing tries to be clever, where the girl's like, "Oh, I didn't know you would do it," or something like that.
Or had it in you, or
I
something.
didn't know.
Like
Yeah. Cool.
The ceremony has commenced. Corso's disguised himself in the blonde man's robes and infiltrates the crowd. Balkan bursts through the doors. I loved it. Bursts through the doors of the hall yelling "Mumbo Jumbo" repeatedly. Taking the stage, he insults everybody in attendance, claiming he's the only one who understands the true power of the book, and then chokes Telfer to death, during which the girl floats down from the second level to stop Corso from stopping Balkan.
Okay.
Balkan storming in was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
Okay. I have a couple of thoughts on this scene.
Sure.
One, why did Balkan even hire Corso if he can just
I
walk?
don't know.
If he's just gonna walk into a room and choke somebody to death, I don't think he needs help. Okay, he's got this.
Yeah, and it's like he's been following Corso the entire time, hence the airport, and not being willing to admit where he was at any given point. Like, he's obviously going to the same ceremony.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
And then the other thing is, okay, I get the argument that the girl stopped Corso because then he would have, I don't know, like an alibi if Balkan just kills a person right there.
Yeah, in front of everybody.
But I think we're past the point where somebody's just going to be like, I should call the cops now.
Yeah, no one's going to be like, yeah, so I was at the satanic ceremony and someone killed someone.
I mean, it was a possibility that we would do it anyway, but it actually happened.
The parties get pretty wild, but this was way before anything should have happened.
I was just told there would be an orgy, and some guy
this guy didn't even show up dressed for the occasion.
Hey, you want to talk about dress for the occasion? When he kills Liana, everybody starts running out, and one of the people, a female, just strips her robe off, and we get another butt shot. If you're gonna flee the scene, why are you taking the time to take your robe off and run naked?
This movie sucks so bad.
Oh my god. This scene is so bad.
All right. Balkan flees the scene with Corso on his tail, but Corso's car gets stuck in a river, so he gives up and turns around.
Well, first the girl tries to stop Corso from going after him.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe she knows exactly what's going to happen.
I don't know. I don't know. Keep going. We're almost done. Gotta power through this.
All right. At a restaurant, Corso finds a postcard that he had taken from the Baroness, which Balkan had sent her many years ago. The image on the postcard is of the same castle in the painting that was in Balkan's library at the very beginning of the film. Corso then asks the staff the address of the castle and resumes his hunt for Balkan.
Yep.
I find it weird that after that entire Crazy Nights event, he's just eating breakfast in some weird little, offshoot restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He enters the castle and sees Balkan preparing his ritual to summon the devil using the LCF engravings that have been removed from all of the books. The two fight, and Corso's comically trapped in the floorboards, forced to watch Balkan perform the trial. That was great, where he just starts cramming him through the floor until he's stuck, and then he's like, I guess you found your niche after all.
And, you have to watch this scene where, Balkan is, he's waxing poetic, he's giving, the villain speech and all of this, but then you realize that the entire time Corso's just upper body is hanging, above the floorboards, just suspended there.
Just forced to watch.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Balkan creates a circle of fire and recites the passages. He appears to have been successful. Then, covering himself with gas to prove his new power, he soon realizes the ritual has failed and he will burn to death. The expression on his face was great.
Sure.
Corso escapes and grabs all of the engravings, then shoots Balkan, putting him out of his misery. He gets into Balkan's car, where the girl appears again, and the two have weird, crazy, burning castle devil sex.
This scene was so visually bad. You see the camera panning out of a castle on fire, and then just in the bottom corner of the shot, on the lawn, they're having sex.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it's creepy, glowing green eye sex.
Her facial expressions and her mannerisms, I'm like, this doesn't look enjoyable.
No, this is terrifying.
Terrifying.
Scary sex.
And
we're about
again,
to wrap this up, and then I think we should ask a few questions.
Again, like when Lena seduced him, the only motivation that I can see for him having sex with her is because she would.
Yeah.
Right?
Here it almost seems like he's originally into it and then just stays because he's terrified.
I can't leave now.
Yeah, I've gone too far. No turning back.
I guarantee you this is a scene where they were like, this will look awesome visually.
Yeah.
And it's like, who's going to tell them? No, dude, no.
I guarantee at one point, too, Depp is laying there, and he's just like, this is Polanski's wife.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
Sheer terror.
That's what I was saying. This scene is... It was awkward to begin with, but then when I read that they were married, I'm like, that's even more awkward. Imagine directing your wife in this scene. All right, now, flail away crazily.
No, there was one part in this scene. If you look at the shots of his face, it goes from pleasure to mild confusement to a lot of confusion to sheer terror. And I would liken that to him realizing the movie that he's filming. And then he's like, I really want to work with Polanski. Oh, this is a script? It's based off of a book, but completely different? Oh, okay. Now that we're filming... Wait, what? This doesn't really make a lot of sense. Oh my god, what's happening?
Okay, come on, man. We're almost there. Let's go.
All right, the next morning, Corso asks the girl why Balkan failed at the ritual. She says that one of the engravings that he used was a forgery. Corso wants the real one and asks her where to get it. They stop for gas, and when Corso returns from paying, the girl has vanished again. Under his windshield wiper, she had left the forged engraving with the words Ceniza Bros written on it. Corso returns to Spain and discovers the Ceniza store is completely empty except for shelving, and nobody knows who he's asking about. When the movers lower a bookshelf, the missing engraving slides off of the top and floats to Corso's feet. The engraving is of a girl, or the girl, I guess, on a six-headed dragon, pointing to the morning star shining from the castle where Balkan died. And in our closing shot, we get Corso walking toward the castle, the morning star shining bright. The end.
Whew, I'm glad that's over.
Before we get into this part, though, I only recently found out that the two movers was also the same actor that played the Ceniza brothers.
I did not get that at all.
Me neither. I just found it in trivia.
Oh, okay.
And I looked it up on IMDb, and yeah.
We're quite far into our episode thus far. So let's just take a quick break to hear a message from our friend Tim.
Let's do.
Knights and Nerds is not just an actual play D&D podcast with an original campaign being played by a group of friends who tolerate each other. It's also a podcast where I, the Dungeon Master, talk about how I'm adapting to the choices the players make, as well as revealing to you, the audience, the complex story and deadly twists that I have in store for my players. Find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or at knightsandnerds.com.
And we're back. All right, Ben.
Yeah.
We're past the plot. The worst is behind us.
Yeah.
Shall we try to analyze any of it and make fun of it?
Okay. Well, I just want to get into a few specifics first.
Absolutely,
and
my friend.
That being the financials.
Okay.
Now, everything I found online says that the budget was $38 million. And for a French-Spanish co-production, yeah, that makes sense. Now, I see that the U.S. box office was $18.7 million. And on both IMDb and not both, but on IMDb and a bunch of other sites, it keeps saying that the $18.7 million was the cumulative world gross. But that doesn't make sense. Because if it made 18.7 in the States, but it's not an American film, it would not have only been released there. So looking at Wikipedia, it says that it actually pulled in 58.4 million, which is still a loss for the movie, but makes a lot more sense. And I could easily see more Europeans watching this movie than Americans. Now, when it comes to ratings, it did better than I expected, man. IMDb, it got a 6.7, which is too high. The tomato meter,
way too high, man. Way too high.
Yeah, and the tomato meter was 44% with an audience score of 57.
But here's the problem. If you go not just the IMDb rating of 6.7, but if you click on the user reviews, 10 of 10, 9 of 10, 10, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9. What are these people watching? What movie did they see that I didn't?
I don't know. Well, it could just be the fact, too, like I said before, the first few times I had seen this movie, I enjoyed it. The ending always confused me. And I still don't know if I fully get it. Because it seemed like when Balkan was performing the ritual, he was supposed to gain some certain power to determine his own destiny. But when Corso has all of the engravings, he just walks into the light that is shining behind the castle, and that's supposed to be it. Like, where does he go? What is he doing?
Not just that. Why does he want to do it?
That is never covered.
At no point in the movie did I think he wants the same thing Balkan wants.
Yeah. No, not at all. I do love that star, though. Sorry, excuse me. Because the Morning Star is also another name. So that being prominent throughout the film, I really enjoyed that.
Another name. Sorry, you cut out. Another name
for Lucifer.
For Lucifer. I assume that's what you were going to say, but I wanted it on camera or on recording.
Yeah. But this movie, man, this movie took itself way too seriously. It was a great concept, but there's something about it that was so off that it made it almost comedic. And the only way I could really describe it is kind of like, did you ever see The Naked Gun?
When I was young, I've seen it, but I don't have a recollection of it.
All right. Well, in The Naked Gun, I found a lot of the comedy came from the fact that Leslie Nielsen was playing the straight man, taking everything seriously to a point where it actually made the film funny.
Okay.
And I feel like it was the exact same thing here, because everybody was overacting to the extreme where you couldn't take any of them seriously. No?
I don't know. This movie, it's just trash.
Even the horrible green screens.
I don't know if the actors' performances, delivery, if their tones or moods changing would do anything when the movie's script is just this bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I feel like I might insult some people here. I feel like the people that like this movie and call it clever and think they have theories on the ending and what it meant are just suffering from Emperor's New Clothes syndrome.
Yeah. And
are giving credit to something that they're afraid to admit they don't understand.
That's it 100%, man. Like, they didn't understand it, so they're like, obviously this movie's too clever for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that it's amazing and incredibly intelligent.
And I'm not saying that they didn't understand it because of a lack of capability, or they don't have a if they don't have a capacity, geez, it's way too late. If they don't have a capacity to understand it, I think they didn't understand it because there's nothing to understand. It can't be done.
No, that's entirely possible.
I don't even know what to talk about anymore at this point.
It's bad. I mean, we can have a good laugh at the fact that the actor that played Liana Telfer's bodyguard, in real life, his name is Tony Amoni.
Why wouldn't they just hire or cast somebody that looked physically imposing?
Because then Johnny Depp couldn't judo toss them.
So?
That's almost as good as Rumsfeld going through the porch.
So are we supposed to believe that the girl is a demon?
I thought we were supposed to believe she was Satan.
Actual Satan? Not like...
I don't know.
A minion of? And
there was also, like, in Balkan's talk at the beginning of the movie, he talks about witches and how they have familiars. So I thought maybe she was a witch who was protecting it. It doesn't describe it, doesn't explain it. It leaves way too much up to the viewer to try and put things together.
Well, let's take the stance that she is Lucifer.
She's a terrible artist, then.
Terrible artist, fine. That would imply that Lucifer is handpicking who he wants to be able to complete this ritual.
I guess.
Right? If it's Lucifer directly, he clearly has to pick. He could have just let, or I guess she shouldn't be attributing gender to it, but if it's Lucifer and there is a clear selection of who can complete the ritual and gain abilities or bring him back, or we don't know what it's supposed to actually accomplish, control their own destiny, then that means that she selected Corso herself. Otherwise, she would have just let Vulcan finish it.
Well, the book was written in the 17th century, 1800s, so I guess he was the only one since then.
Well, let's be generous. Let's pretend, because we don't know what this is. Maybe it's even just like a ritualistic sacrifice that needs to be done periodically, and he's just one in a long line of people that were manipulated into this.
Sure.
Which is being very generous, but let's just say that's the case, okay? Why Corso?
I don't know, man. That was my joke about him being the only one worthy.
Because she sees him in a lecture hall.
Why the socks?
Why anything?
I don't know.
Look, I hope that I've pissed off enough of actual Ninth Gate fans that somebody will write me an in-depth letter ripping me apart, but at the same time inadvertently explaining to me what the hell actually happens in this movie. Because I would welcome it.
Me too, man. Any insight on this from anybody listening, I would love to hear it.
I'll be honest with you, man. After I watched the movie for this review, I went to like YouTube and I looked up like videos. You know, you see them for every movie, ending explained, theories on this and theories on that. And I went and watched some people's reviews of the movie so I could see their takes on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people who claim that they love this movie and have explanations, the explanations didn't make sense to me. They were just as enigmatic as the ending to this movie.
That makes sense. It's because they have nothing to work with. We're given a bunch of gibberish and they're like, yeah, we assure you it makes sense. Roll credits, pay the actors. It could have been great, but it turned out to be trash.
How could it have been great?
Well, make it cohesive, first and foremost. You would definitely have to leave some of the story out. Like we already talked about, there's like a minimum 10 minutes you could just drop from this and actually just focus on the story and not tiptoe around it just to go back to it later. There are too many characters. The country hopping was unnecessary. The cult scene, completely unnecessary. Because we didn't really see anything from it that wasn't already discussed previously in the dialogue. It's like he tried to do an Eyes Wide Shut and just failed.
I also feel like this one suffers from an Indiana Jones complex.
Mm-hmm.
In that if Corso did absolutely nothing, the ritual still would have taken place in the cultist home. Yep. Vulcan would have still killed Lena.
Yep.
And would have still set himself on fire and died.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of not having to do a single thing to arrive at the exact same outcome.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I think I'm spent about this movie.
All right, cool. Closing thoughts then?
Don't? I don't know. I'm sure I'll watch this movie.
You stole mine.
Oh, sorry. I'll probably watch this movie again sometime down the road just to see if it makes more sense to me then. But after seeing it about 5 times now, it's still a jumbled mess of a movie that has some interesting parts that I would like to see fleshed out, but they never spend enough time on it and instead just dilly-dally until 2 hours and 13 minutes is up, and then you're just left wondering, what did I watch?
I will never watch this movie again. I'm sorry I watched it the first time, and I hope that it is a movie that time forgets.
Very nice, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Do we even bother asking if anybody wants to comment on this?
No, I would love comments. Honestly, I think that at this point, comments would probably be the most intriguing, because I feel like I might have the most to gain. I don't think that there's any other movie that we've reviewed where more insight, more opinions, and more understanding of the movie would be as beneficial, because I have nowhere to go but up on this one.
Yeah, same.
So if anybody wants to educate, enlighten me, drop us a line. Probably the best place, because you're going to need a lot of space, is by email, bsbargainbin@outlook.com. But of course, you can do so in the comment section on YouTube, or, if it's just a quick message on Twitter @bsbargainbin.
All right. So this is normally where you would ask me what we're going to watch next week, yes?
Yes, sir. All but one time in the past, I believe.
All right. Well, this is going to be time number 2, because you have something that you would like me to check out.
Okay. Well, the first time, and only time prior to this, that I selected the movie, it was specifically to cater to a guest of ours. And I guess we can let everybody know that scheduling-wise, unless there's any sort of unforeseeable circumstance, we'll have a repeat guest for the first time on this show next week, where we will be joined by Tim from the Knights and Nerds podcast again.
I can't wait.
Yeah, he's a great guy, great to talk to. Podcast is super entertaining, although we already played the ad. But, like last time when I picked the D&D movie, I wanted to keep it somewhat thematically relevant. So next week, we will be watching the 1982 leading role debut for Tom Hanks, Mazes and Monsters.
Tom Hanks and his friends get caught up in a deadly game of fantasy
I am the maze controller.
until they take it too far.
I propose we play mazes and monsters in a real setting. It won't be a fantasy.
Too bad for one of them, because now there's no turning back.
This is only a game.
I know I killed somebody.
Mazes and Monsters.
Saturday at 3 on ZTV.
Oh, man. Nice. I have not seen it, but I am very aware of its existence, and I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Now, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie and wants to check it out beforehand, I actually discovered that it's on the free Tubi app. So that's probably the best place that you can watch it if you want to check it out. Tubi's a free app, just advertisements, but it is readily available on there, so you can check it out and join us next week. Until then, have a great one, guys.
All the best, guys.